my quick fact sheet I'm going to probably need.
Good morning. We'll call the meeting to order. We appreciate everybody being here. I'll ask Peggy to call the roll.
Cameron. Here. Keel. Here. Mortimer. Here. Vic. Here. Nuxall. Here. Johnson. Here. Bayer. Thane. Here. Schmidt. Here. Lacey. Here. Bell. Here. Bolts. Here. Eskridge. Here. Thompson. Here. Gibbs. Here. Stevenson. Here. Miller. Here. Youngblood. Here. Ringo. Here. King. Here.
Quorum being present, we're ready for business, and our first item up this morning is a presentation from President Tony Fernandez. We're grateful to have you here with us, President Fernandez, and we want to hear all about Lewis and Clark State College.
Well, thank you, Chairman Cameron, and before I start, congratulations on the birth of your grandson. I know what that's like, becoming a grandparent, and I congratulate you and your family on the new addition. Before I start, though, I'd like to introduce, we had quite a few folks from Lewis Clark State College come down this week to do various things, and some actually are here already. But let me start with Carmen Simone. She's our Provost and Vice President. Andy Hansen, our Vice President for Student Affairs, is with us. Chet Herbst, our Vice President for Finance. Our Dean for Academic Programs, Mary Flores, is here, as is our Dean for Professional Technical Programs, Rob Lohmeyer, and our Dean for Community Programs and Government Relations, Kathy Martin. We also have with us Rocky Owens, who I think Representative Bell knows, who is our director at our Coeur d'Alene Center. Rocky joins us, as do several students, but Brock Astle, I forgot Brock. Brock is our Boise representative here in Boise for Lewis Clark State College. But Amy Nelms, the student body president at Lewis Clark State College, is joined with Sam Carlson, who's on our student senate. And we have Clinton Bletner, who is the student representative in Coeur d'Alene. So all of these folks are meeting with some of your folks while we're down here today, and I hope you get to meet, especially the students, because they're what we're all about. And so if I could have the next slide. I thought I would start, once again, with just a brief overview of what Lewis Clark State College stands for and what it is. We have been serving Idaho since 1893 and continue to serve the state of Idaho and America. And the picture you see, the first picture, is probably a picture of the oldest building, state-supported building in Idaho that's still functioning as per its original purpose. And then, of course, the newest building, Sacagawea Hall on Lewis Clark State College's campus, which we thank the state of Idaho and the legislature for helping support us with that building. I don't need to remind you that this committee made a commitment to Lewis Clark State College several years ago that they would support this function, and I thank you for living for up to that commitment last year. We greatly appreciate the occupancy costs that we got as an institution last year. It is serving the state of Idaho well, as you'll see a little bit later. Our role and mission, for those of you who are not familiar with Lewis Clark State College, is fairly simple, and it is identified in the Idaho Code. We are a regional state college offering bachelor's degrees and associate degrees in professional areas, in professional technical, applied technical programs, in the liberal arts and sciences, and other educational programs that the state of Idaho may require. Our role and mission is condenses that role. Our themes for our role and missions condense those assigned roles and missions. And this is these are the three themes that have been approved by the state board and have been approved in our accreditation processes. We say that we connect learning to life, and I think you'll understand that saying as I finish this program, through three ways: through our academic programs, through our professional technical programs, and through our community programs. And those are our three themes that describe our role and mission. Our primary emphasis areas, we educate students in the arts and sciences. The arts and sciences are core to just about every program we have, but they stand on their own, and we're very, very proud of the arts and sciences at Lewis Clark State College. But we also have been assigned instruction in business, in justice studies, in nursing, in professional technical education, social work, and teacher education. And we take those assignments very, very seriously, and we do our very best to produce the highest quality professionals in all of those areas. And I think this fits very, very well into the higher education system of Idaho. Here is the latest data we can get from the IPEDS data about the state of Idaho's degree offerings, all state of Idaho institutions, both public and private. This is where, this is the proportion of the degrees that are offered in Idaho according to the latest data, which is probably a couple of years old. But as you can see, the vast majority of degrees offered in our state by all of our institutions are associate degrees and bachelor's degrees. And we think that this suits our role and mission because we offer associate's degrees and bachelor's degrees, fits very, very well into what the state of Idaho is providing its students. And I might add that if we're going to meet the goals that have been set by the State Board of Education, it is those associate degrees and those bachelor's degrees, which are the bottom of the pyramid, as it were, that support the rest of the educational system in the state. You will note that the associate degrees, if you remember my pie chart last year, have grown quite a bit. College of Western Idaho. A lot of associate degrees have been added to Idaho's higher education degrees. Where do our students come from? Just about all over the state. I like this slide. It's a little hard to see, but if your county is represented there and there's a star in there, there is a student going to Lewis Clark State College. And as I said to the Northern Idaho tour, if a star is not in your county, talk to me after this presentation and we'll see what we can do. But we have students from all over the state and from across the nation, actually. Our enrollment, our enrollment is about 4,500 students. 4,500 students is what we had last fall at the official census date, which was changed a little bit this year. This represents, since 2007, a 25% increase in our student head count. Our total full-time equivalents are about 3,000 students. Our pre-college enrollment, those are students that are taking dual credit or tech prep courses, it's about 1,000 students. That would be the fall data. If we look at our enrollment on an annual basis, and that would be the number of students in the fall and spring semesters, and not counting them twice, but different students during the fall and spring semesters, you can see how our enrollment has changed up through 2012. We haven't finished this year, so that data, of course, is not presented to you. But as you can see, we are having steady growth in enrollment figures, and you can see that that is fairly evenly divided in its rate of growth between our academic programs, those would be the arts and sciences and the professions, and our professional technical programs. Those would be the more applied two-year programs. If you can see, and on the next slide, you can see how our pre-college enrollment is coming along. The majority of the students take tech prep or professional technical education type courses in high school, that we have a very, very strong program in that area. And you can see that we have steadily increased the numbers of students who are taking these practical, hands-on courses that we will give college credit to should they go into a technical program at Lewis Clark State College. But also see the green shaded area and the yellow shaded area, which indicates students that are taking academic programs like chemistry or math or psychology or sociology. And the yellow part of that graph is students that are taking both a technical prep course and an academic course. Is this working? Well, yes, it is, because we're tracking some of these students. And many of these students, I think approaching 500 of those students that have taken an LCSC pre-college course show up in college. Not only at Lewis Clark State College, but many of them go to the University of Idaho, North Idaho College, and other schools in the state. So we think this is a great program to encourage students to go on to college, and we are tracking the numbers of these students. This translates into the number of degrees that we award each year. Degrees are certificates that we award. And you'll notice that last year, in fiscal 2000, you want to go back to the previous slide, last year, we had an all-time record of degrees awarded, nearly 770 degrees. I think actually a little bit more than 770 degrees. Now, some people were awarded more than one degree or certificate. The number of people that actually graduated was about 700, a little under 700. But about 70 of those people were awarded more than one. So that's why that says 770 degrees awarded. I just wanted you to know that. But the point I'm trying to make is look at the increase, the steady increase, and then quite a bump last year. Lewis Clark State College is doing its share to try to increase the numbers of degrees and certificates that Idahoans have. I think that this coming year will probably level off a little bit. We had a little bit of a bump 4 years ago of students coming in, and so, you know, it's kind of that bump in the, like I say, the boa constrictor kind of going down the animal. But we had that bump, and we'll see what we can do this year. Well, what kind of students do we have? Our students average about a 3.0 GPA coming from high school. Now, those aren't the only students we have. We have many students that are coming back in to school. We have many students that are adults that are working. But if you look at the typical traditional student, their profile is a 3.0. They do moderately well on the entrance examinations. We have plenty of students that are very well academically prepared, but we do have a large number of students who are not very well academically prepared to enter college. And we have to pay attention to those students. These are students who are not college ready for our math courses or some of our English courses. And we have started a program, and we actually initiated the program a couple of years ago, and now it's gearing up to address those students who are at risk. Why? Because we want them to complete. We want them to come back. Our retention rate from year one to year two is not as good as it should be. And our graduation rate is not as good as it should be. However, I would stress, take a look at the pipeline. How many students are coming in and how many are going out? Look at the numbers of graduates. I stress that to anybody that will listen. Although the rates are important, and we're going after those retention rates. And the way we're going after them is through new student orientation programs, some old, but many new projects new processes that we're going through. We have a central advising system now that all students are required to go through, and that includes a career planning component. They need to know what they've chosen as a career, and they need to know what the chances are of being employed at the end of their career. We tutor, we teach them survival skills, and we do hands-on training in basic computer skills. The outcomes that we show, we are very, very proud of. If you look at our business students, for example, they score above the national average in their junior or senior years on National Educational Testing Service field tests in every category. Every category. That's almost 9 or 10 categories, like accounting and economics and management. They beat the national average in every single one. And we are very, very proud of that. Our nurses usually exceed the national average in their first-time pass rate. And usually, 9 times out of 10, they're well ahead of the national average. Last year, it was 1% less than the national average, 89 versus 90%. We'll be up to 95 again. Rad Tech, 90%. Praxis exams, 93%. Social work really does much better than the national average when it scores at 80%. 90% of our natural sciences students are accepted to graduate school, dental school, osteopath schools, medical schools. Those that apply, 90% of them, on average, over 5 years, have been accepted. So we're very, very proud of that. And that's what I say about our 90% placement rate of all of our students. This is just an overall conglomeration of all of our last year's students. We surveyed well over 600 of them that graduated last year. 90% of them were either employed or had gone on to continue their education. And we're very, very proud of that. That's a low point. We used to have about 94%, but we think that has to do with the economy. The other thing is about half of those that are employed are in areas, half of these students of the 90% are employed in areas that they studied, that they were aiming for. That's down a bit too because of the economy. It used to be quite a few more. But 90% of them are either continuing their education or are employed in some way. Our students also provide quite a bit of service. Yesterday was a day of service. We had plenty of students volunteering for service projects, but more than that, we're proud that they take their spring breaks, as indicated in these pictures. They take their spring break to do service for the community and beyond. Lewis Clark State College collaborates with many, many institutions, including St. Joseph's Regional Medical Center, the Kootenai Health Systems in Coeur d'Alene, with North Idaho College, the University of Idaho, Boise State University, Schweitzer Engineering Laboratories. You may know that Schweitzer Engineering opened up a brand new facility in Lewiston, Idaho, employs about 100 people now. Schweitzer Engineering is going to put in another addition to that to employ another 100 people. They have approached Lewis Clark State College and asked Lewis Clark State College to come up with an electronic engineering technology degree. We'll do it, and we'll do it in record time. We are working on that, and we will probably apply that program, an associate's degree, for their technical, to support the technical needs of that industry by next academic year. We collaborate with the Nez Perce tribe. We're the only institution, I think, in the United States that offers the language, the Nez Perce language. We have cooperated with Washington State University and the University of Idaho in trying to provide that to their students. We are very proud of that connection. Our outreach efforts are substantial. The Dean of Community Programs, who I introduced earlier, is in charge of those outreach programs. And in particular, the outreach program in Coeur d'Alene. We have a substantial program in Coeur d'Alene where we have 458 majors taking baccalaureate degree programs in Coeur d'Alene. The most popular by far is our business degree. We have 168 majors at the Coeur d'Alene Center. We have majors in communications, education through our PACE program, interdisciplinary studies, a few students, justice studies, a few students, about 80 students wishing to become nurses, 40 are in pre-nursing, 40 are in the RN to BSN program at Kootenai Medical Center. We offer this kind of cooperation especially with our health-related areas. Social work and professional technical programs are also popular in the area. That's why we have as our number one capital improvement project a joint facility in Coeur d'Alene. And you heard this last year, and you probably heard it the year before, but I'll say it again. That's our number one capital improvement project. In conjunction with the University of Idaho and North Idaho College, we would certainly enjoy the use of such a facility. Our outreach in other areas reaches the citizens of Idaho. We have 210 non-credit courses reaching literally thousands of students. Workforce training, a similar story. Our Small Business Development Center has worked with nearly 2,000 nearly 2,000 consulting hours, and we have close to 300 businesses that have been served. And then finally, in our outreach, I would mention that we do continue our GED program, where we have anywhere between 300 and 400 GED graduates getting their high school equivalent certificate. Many of those are corrections inmates that we work with at some of our correctional institutes. Well, now to some of the areas that you've asked for some information. I think that gives you a quick snapshot of what Lewis Clark State College is about. Let's talk about budget and meeting the budget challenges. First, a little background. Here are our operating expenses and our capital outlays for the last few years. You'll note, and this is no surprise, that from 2009, our OE and our CO declined. Last year it went up a bit. Thank you for the occupancy costs for Sacagawea Hall. But this did present challenges to us over the years. Our general fund allocation, of course, shows you, once again, a bit of a decline over the last few years with the bump last year. Mainly, once again, those occupancy costs for Sacagawea Hall. Thank you again. Every dollar is being spent very, very well, I would tell you. You asked for permanent positions that have been delayed, hiring permanent positions because of some of the shortfalls that we've all had. This summarizes the number of positions that we have delayed in hiring over the years. Starting in 2009, just one. And you can see since then, 7 to 9 a year we have delayed in hiring. Now that's not to say we didn't hire, we delayed the entire year, but I do indicate what the annual salaries combined and their benefits combined total in terms of salary savings when we don't, if we didn't hire those positions for an entire year. That's not the case, but we did delay hiring for a substantial amount of time. And I would guess anywhere between, given any particular year, between 60 to 80% of those figures are probably the figures that we saved each year. So when we got a cut, we delayed in hiring. And it wasn't just faculty. It was administration, it was in athletics, and it was in professional areas, and every now and then a faculty position or two. The changes in the workforce, I will point out that our permanent faculty and our permanent classified staff and our permanent exempt staff have not changed much. And how did they not change? You look at the strategy we had before in using salary savings, and I'll show you some other examples of how we saved dollars. But those three positions, and we're pretty thin in all of these positions, we tried to save the core of those positions. And as you can see, from 2009 to 2013, those positions did not change much. One of the other areas, which I wouldn't call savings, but which you should know, would be our faculty salaries. They're not that high. And I show you this just for your information. They are, in fact, quite a bit lower than our peers. If we would require quite a bit of an influx in order to just get them up to the average of our peers. In other words, to get a grade of C. But we are working on that and trying to help on that. Which brings us to the 2014 budget, and I'll try to be very quick on this so that we can get to the questions. Our requests for 2014, the number one request is for employee salaries, or CEC. It has been, it continues to be. We did ask for enrollment workload adjustment, inflation, and capital equipment replacement also. Our legislative requests for fiscal 2014 were for Complete College Idaho initiatives, positions and operating funds. Those were our requests, approximately 16 positions total, to help with our bottlenecks, which are a little bit different from Boise State's bottlenecks. Our budget requests, I believe they're in your printed handout, it might say line item requests, but it's really more accurately our budget requests. We asked for inflationary adjustment, replacement items, non-discretionary adjustments, and our Complete College Idaho initiative. The governor's budget included our enrollment workload adjustment, but no CEC, and he did not recommend the Complete College Idaho. But the enrollment workload adjustment was $589,000. If you look at our revenue sources, I give you this as just a piece of information. You can see that its student fees are 29%, state appropriations 32%. This seems to be, the student portion seems to be increasing every year and is, and the state appropriation, as you know, has decreased. We are looking at other avenues for funding. We have about $11 million in funding from external sources that help support our Complete College Idaho grant, or our initiatives. Very, very effective, we think, programs that help our students complete their college career. And finally, our advancement, college advancement, is rather modest, but it is increasing. So our general approach is to have strategic plans that are integral to our budgeting process. We have a long-term focus on what we want to do, and we respond to local and regional needs. We've sustained our service to the state of Idaho. We are proud to be a member of the Idaho Higher Education Institution, and working together we'll continue to aim high. So in summary, we run a lean outfit. Every dollar that we get, we pinch every penny out of it. We do not have associate administrators, associate deans. You're looking at every one of us, we're one person deep. We work together, and we do quite a bit with the dollars that you give us. And I thank you for your time and for listening to what I had to say, but I'm going to throw in one little advertisement, if I could. In the next slide, I invite you all to Lewiston for the 2013 Avista NAI World Series. If you've never done that, it is an experience that the entire community joins us in, and I'll tell you a little story. 10 teams from across the nation come every year, and one of the players coming down the hill late at night looked at the lights of Lewiston and the lights of the field, and he said it was like a field of dreams. This student athlete, he said he was coming to a beautiful place to fulfill one of his dreams. Well, we want Lewis Clark State College to be that for not just student athletes, but for everybody in the state that wants to fulfill their educational dreams. So come on to Lewiston on May 24th. You'll see some great baseball. Thank you, and I'll be glad to entertain any questions.
Thank you, President Fernandez, for your presentation. Are there any questions? Senator Nuxall.
Thank you, and thank you for coming, Tony. Appreciate that, and giving your presentation. I just would like, if you could just explain to me a little bit more what this Coeur d'Alene joint facility is. If you could just explain that a little bit more to me. Thank you.
Go right ahead.
Chairman Cameron, Senator Nuxall. The joint facility is a dream that I think the North Idaho College, our partner in Coeur d'Alene, Lewis Clark State College, and the University of Idaho have had for quite a while. Right now, we're in a facility, we're in two facilities. We're in some portable buildings teaching classes on the North Idaho College campus. These are temporary structures. North Idaho College's enrollment has boomed. They cooperate as much as they can with offering classroom space, but we're in these temporary facilities teaching our classes to those individuals I've indicated. We also are in Harbor Center, which is a converted restaurant that the University of Idaho owns, and we rent space there. If the three of us could have one facility on the North Idaho College campus where we had, where we shared certain sorts of student services, but then had our separate programs housed in one area, we think we could increase the enrollment and the number of degrees, bachelor's degrees, and for the University of Idaho, I don't want to speak for them, but some of their graduate degrees, in one location in Coeur d'Alene. And we think that would be a benefit to that region. We have asked for, we are envisioning a $12 million building. We had asked for $4 million this year, $4 million the next fiscal year, and the institutions would generate $4 million to come up with a complete $12 million, about a 24,000 square foot building.
Further questions? Representative Ringo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. President, I feel compelled to comment that I think your school is a real gem, giving some students an opportunity they would never have and nurturing students through the system that some people might give up on. I know you don't want to whine too much about the CEC, but I wonder if you could just give a picture of that, how that affects your ability to recruit instructional staff.
Chairman Cameron.
President Fernandez.
Representative Ringo. Well, yes. Let me preface this by saying we are quite a bit behind, as I indicated, our peers, but our faculty that we employ are very loyal. Our turnover rate isn't terribly high. But where it really hurts us is when we recruit. And we get a brand new, fresh PhD that's out of, well, I'll say one that I remember. I think it was the University of Oregon that we wanted, and we interviewed, and these candidates want the job, but they have families and they have some needs, and we just can't we can't get them, many of them, to accept the positions based upon what we're able to offer. And as a president of a college, that really breaks my heart when you get a really hot young prospect in biology or in mathematics, and you can't reel them in, because if we could get them, I know that they would want to stay because of the culture and the environment we have and the kind of emphasis we place on teaching. There, that's all. I'm not going to whine too much, but that is an issue.
Senator Thane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. President Fernandez, could you comment a little bit on the cost of insurance to students, and especially first-generation students, and how that might impact your future enrollments?
Chairman Cameron, Senator Thane, this is an issue that is developing at all of our institutions. We do require, and we have been required, all the institutions, that the college students that are enrolled full-time at our institutions have health insurance. And we are the ones that we cooperate with Boise State University and Idaho State University to jointly go after student health insurance. Well, the Affordable Health Care Act says that because we are providing this insurance, we need to follow the federal regulations on what this insurance should be. And therefore, the insurance that these students need to buy has to meet that regulation if their parents' insurance does not cover them. And some of them are not covered by their parents, of course. We estimate that this year, when we get our bid back, it's going to be approximately $2,000 a year in addition to our tuition, in addition to whatever other expenses they have in terms of room and board. So, you know, our tuition is about $5,500. Add another $2,000 to it if you're not covered in your with your family's health insurance. I find this. I do find this interesting, that the only citizens in the state of Idaho that are required to have this insurance are these college students. I understand the reasons why, this was first initiated, but it's becoming more and more of a burden because of the kind of insurance that we need to provide. I think it might be a wiser choice for a young, healthy individual to have an insurance policy which isn't as rich as we are required to provide, and it would be less expensive. But we can't do that because we are affected by the Affordable Health Care Act.
Representative King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And President Fernandez, great presentation. I'm really glad you're doing the Indian preservation, I guess you want to call it. I think that's a great aspect. You have on your requests Complete College Idaho and a request for personnel and operating expenses, one-time outlay for the Idaho program. Can you explain a little more about that? What would you do with that money? And yeah.
Yes.
President Fernandez.
Chairman Cameron and Representative King. That, I can go into specifics, but let me just give you more of a general one, and then we're pulling out the specifics here. It is for about 16 positions, of which most are faculty, and they are faculty in the natural sciences to help with our support course for our health-related programs. It's in business, which is our fastest growing major. It is in the humanities, positions in the humanities, because those are bottleneck courses for us in the lower division. We have so many students, for example, that want to go into health-related areas, and our anatomy and physiology is just booked up. And our English courses are booked up. And we need more full-time faculty. We're covering it with adjuncts now, but we need more full-time faculty to cover that. I don't believe I spent much time on a slide to show you how much our full-time faculty are teaching more and more and more, and our adjunct faculty are teaching less when it comes to credit hours. Our faculty are stepping to the plate, but we're reaching a point where we need new faculty in order to meet that bottleneck. Education. We need a position in education and social sciences, especially in those support courses that are part of general education. And then there's some more support areas like the library and so on. That's where the money would be spent. And I'll say this, if we were awarded that money, and I'm not saying this lightly, we would not ask for any kind of an increase in tuition. But being a realist, we will probably have to if we're going to meet a couple of these positions. We're bottlenecked in the lower division, which is different than some of the other institutions. Although, if we got these positions, it would help our upper division courses too.
Representative King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just an additional question, a different question. How many nursing slots do you have, or how many nurses do you turn out a year, I guess is the way to put it?
President Fernandez.
Excuse me, Chairman Cameron, Representative King. We just had, the exact number I'd have to get to you. We just had our our fall graduation over 30. I think it was about 38, and it would be about the similar number in the spring. We have two acceptance. We accept in the fall and the spring, and then they graduate in the fall and the spring. And we're approaching our capacity, and we say our capacity is 98 per year. Okay.
Senator Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. President Fernandez, I appreciated your description of, it sounded like you have remediation tasks with early entering students. And we heard from the Board of Education that that's an interest of theirs too. And so I'm wondering, is there a intra-university or college awareness of this issue, and is there an overarching plan that is looking at this problem for the state of Idaho?
President Fernandez.
Okay, Chairman Cameron, Senator Schmidt. The short answer is yes. The State Board of Education in its Complete College Idaho initiative has remediation reform as one of the key points. And there is a group of individuals from all the colleges and universities that are working with the state board to look at this problem. We had the chief academic officer of the state board address our faculty, and we had a very robust discussion about some of these initiatives. And as you know, remediation is an issue across the nation. Some people say it doesn't work. Some people say we need to approach it differently. And in some cases, both of those positions are absolutely correct. We are looking at our developmental education, remedial education, however you want to phrase it, and we're trying to come up with what we think would be the best way to handle the kind of students that come to LCSC that require this. It's all the way from putting a student in a college level course and offering them intensive tutoring instead of a remedial course, to just revamping the developmental course to meet them where they are. All of these things cost money, and we get approximately half of the students that we receive require either English remediation or math remediation or both by test. Yeah.
Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. President Fernandez, I enjoyed that presentation very much. Very well done. Most of my questions were answered as you went along, so I appreciate that. Just a quick question. If you could just give a very brief overview of your replacement items, what those needs are. The computing equipment is the biggest of the requests. I'm just kind of curious to know what that's for, please.
President Fernandez.
Okay. Senator Cameron and Senator Johnson. The replacement items that I'm asking our Vice President for Finance, who tells me what we need most of the time. But it would be, it's computers, mainly computers, audio-visual equipment, some equipment that we have in our natural sciences in Sacagawea Hall, some of the older scientific equipment, those sorts of things are replacement equipment that we use in instruction. All of the instrumentation that I'm talking about at Lewis Clark State College is used for hands-on instruction for our students. I think that's one of the reasons we have such a good relationship with medical schools and with osteopath and dental schools and graduate schools, because our students do get, as an undergraduate, some of the experiences that sometimes only graduate students might get in using some of the equipment that we have.
Senator Johnson.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. President Fernandez, the computing equipment request for LCSC is, compared to the other institutions, higher, much higher. And so I'm just curious to know if, in fact, when you look at life cycle costing, which is what the replacement item description is about, are you saying then that most of the PC type equipment that you have, it's just due to change out? It's been that long since you've traded that out and it's just time for new stuff?
President.
Right. Well, right. I was just informed that the biggest hunk is for our central IT systems, not just PCs. PCs are part of it, but the large hunk of the request is for our IT. Yeah.
Well, President, we see no further questions. Thank you very much for being with us and for your presentation, and we'll look forward to working with you.
Thank you, and I want to thank all of the committee for their attention and for their support in the past. Thank you very much.
You bet. Don't forget our microphone.
I won't. I think you'd find out if I did.
You're tethered.
Mr. Freeman, maybe you could grab Mr. Glendon for us. He's standing out in the hallway. Welcome. President Glendon, thank you for being with us. President Glendon,
Yes, sir.
you can place the microphone on your tie, and we're ready for you when you're ready.
Check. Is that good?
Yep,
Good.
Okay.
go right ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, JFAC members. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. I wanted to start by expressing my appreciation on behalf of the College of Western Idaho, the Board of Trustees, the administration, the faculty, the staff, and most of all of our students who have appreciated your support in achieving their dreams of attending a higher education institution and moving forward in their career goals. This presentation is just a glimpse of the fantastic ways we're helping students achieve more and outlines our FY 2014 budget request to continue success in higher education. Here today with me are CWI board members. I know that Mark Dunham, board member, is here. MC Nyland is here. And I believe Chairman Stan Bastian is on his way. And I do apologize, Cheryl Wright, who is my Vice President of Finance and Administration, has got the bad bug and could not make it. But I'm really pleased to have our Budget Director, Jeff Shin, here to support and assist us in getting this presentation before you. As a forward-thinking community college, CWI's mission is to provide open access to a comprehensive offerings of teaching and learning opportunities that are not only affordable and accessible, but adequately prepare a skilled workforce to achieve a higher level of degree and skills and necessary position for Idaho to become a leader in the quality of life and a strong economic stability. CWI offers a broad range of programs for students across 4 areas of emphasis in the college: adult basic education, business partnerships and workforce development, professional technical training, education, and lower division transfer general education. CWI offers more than 340 programs that have been developed in conjunction with peer institutions, the local and local industries, through our professional technical advisory committees that provide input to their needs and education requirements to generate an effective and successful workforce in southeastern Idaho. In just 3 years, we've only been operating a little over 3 years now, the credit student enrollment at CWI has increased over 250%. This fall, while other higher education institutions experience either a flat or declining enrollment, CWI continues a moderate increase over previous years with 9,107 students enrolled in degree and professional certificate programs at this time. The graph illustrates a strong enrollment growth over the last 4 years. Non-credit enrollment has shifted from community education classes to career skills development focused courses that can allow and be tailored to our local business and industry needs and offer short-term programs that train workforce for today's industry needs. In addition, adult basic education continues with a strong focus on increasing the skills of our residents who are undereducated and not adequately prepared for today's workforce and higher education. CWI serves truly as a bridge for all of our citizens to become productive individuals in today's workforce, and we help people regardless of where they are at in life. As most of you already know, CWI serves Region 3 and has an area impact of 10 Idaho counties with its taxing district being specifically Ada and Canyon counties. CWI serves a diverse population of students with a wide range of experiences, Shown here are a few demographic data points related to our credit students. This is just credit students, not the non-credit students. The average student age is 27, with 56% of the student population being female. Additional demographic information can be found in the Facts at a Glance brochure that is in front of you. The majority of CWI's student residents are in Ada and Canyon counties, 57% in Ada and 33% respectively in those counties. As the college continues to garner awareness and recognition, we anticipate that the college to be an additional benefit to those looking to relocate to southwestern Idaho. This year, we celebrate the opening of the new Micron Center for Professional Technical Education. This center boasts a 176,000 square foot space dedicated to business and industry labs and is the home of 9 professional technical programs and a comprehensive array of student services. We have taken great lengths to ensure that this new facility not only facilitates training of students preparing for technical careers, but also serves as a dedicated resource for local business and industry ongoing training needs. We already have 5 major corporations from within the region that are doing their regional training at this particular site and facility. The necessary components for success in Idaho's communities involve 3 areas that are interconnected. Success in meeting demand for an educated and robust workforce that ensures sustainability and growth for Idaho involves the investment of the state of Idaho, higher education, and our local business and industry working together to develop an educated workforce that meets the needs of the new and growing businesses. Whether working in a software alliance or other critical economic venture, CWI is an educational resource for our communities. We are working diligently to ensure our programs and students are meeting the needs of our state and local industry. At the same time, we need the financial investment and legislative support of you, our local government, to keep up with the demands as for a well-educated workforce that supports the state of Idaho. Partnerships at CWI include relationships with both public and private organizations to meet their shared goals. We partner to share expertise, resources, and combine efforts where the leverage of multiple parties makes the most sense. CWI partnerships at this present time with high schools, local community service organizations, business and industry, government agencies, colleges and universities, economic development groups, foundation and donors, and individuals within the community. A quick highlight of the numbers that this includes are 350 business and industry leaders actively participate in our technical advisory committees at this time. These individuals help guide programs and provide hiring opportunities for internships and graduates. Additionally, the college has devoted a group within our business partnerships and workforce development department that directly interface with businesses on a daily basis. Without such resources available to local businesses, it would be a barrier to growth in the southwest Idaho for workforce development and training. Relationships with nearly all of our regional high schools where we partner to offer dual credit opportunities and provide guest speakers in the classroom. Articulation agreements with all Idaho public universities and several private with over 30 articulated degrees showing seamless transition for students from CWI to the local higher education institutions. Idaho community colleges are making a substantial impact on the state. Since 2006, Idaho's community colleges' full-time equivalent student count has grown 52%. To put that into perspective, Idaho's population overall has only grown 1.8%. All 3 of Idaho's community colleges are collaborating and working together to strengthen higher education throughout the state. We are currently funded substantially less than our 4-year counterparts in higher education, yet we play a significant role in bridging the educational gaps facing our state. The growth and physical challenges facing CWI could not have been anticipated when we were first established. One of our top board priorities is to ensure fiscal stability and sustainability of our college. Turning now to the budget for fiscal year 2014, the 3 community college budgets begin on page 1-63 of the legislative budget book. in front of you. Summary information regarding funding, enrollment, and tuition fees is shown through page 1-64. The budget decision units begin on page 1-67. In the middle of page 1-67 is the FY 2014 base for all community colleges, where I begin with the CWI's request. The first decision point is benefit costs. The amount needed for CWI to pay the employer portion of health insurance estimated to increase by $550 per full-time FTE and other related expenses. Of the amount shown on page 1-67, $36,900 will be allocated to CWI. Let me remind you that the state amount only covers a portion of the total needed, because the state only funds a portion of the overall CWI budget. The next decision unit is replacement items. CWI must continue to replace library books and computers to maintain a high level of quality of teaching and learning for our faculty and students and meet accreditation guidelines. The CWI request for $330,000 is shown on page 1-67. CWI's request for $39,800 from state using the 1% calculation methodology provided by the Division of Financial Management and the Office of the State Board of Education. These funds would allow CWI to continue to compensate all employees based upon market conditions and related factors. As with inflationary items, the state funds would only pay a portion of the total compensation needed for all CWI. This is my fourth appearance before JFAC. During each presentation, I requested funding enrollment. This year marks the first time our enrollment request has been calculated along with the two other community colleges using a standardized three-year rolling average. Why? This is the first time that we actually have 3 years of history. Prior to this time, any of our graphs or charts were not really pie charts, they were more like muffin charts. We didn't quite have a full 3 years to work with. CWI is so new that there hasn't been a 3-year history for this calculation until today. For fiscal year 2014, this request has been fully recommended by the governor. This amount was calculated for all 3 community colleges by the Office of the State Board of Education. CWI share is $783,500. Please turn to page 1-69 for line items requested by CWI. The first request is for ensuring student success. The total amount requested is $6.96 million for a group of activities that includes the following things. And by the way, student success has been adopted as the #1 priority by our board and our institution for moving the college forward. Student services would include expanding services for virtual campus registration, vising, counseling services, and tutoring support. This request would total $1.25 million, including 10 FTE positions. Instruction, we need to hire an additional faculty for general education, totaling $4,220,000, including 30 FTE positions. Transportations and facilities, expansion of the shuttle services, which goes just between our Canyon County sites right now. We need to expand that service. The request would be a total of $500,000, including 3 FTE positions. And purchase of existing leased classroom facilities, a request that would require $991,100. This request is large, but CWI's growth and need to expand course offerings and strengthen existing programs is similarly very extensive. I am grateful to the governor for his support for a portion of this request. In order for CWI to serve the entire Region 3 area, 3 delivery methods have been implemented across our programs as are applicable. The traditional classroom setting is where 65% of our present students receive their education. Another 29% take courses strictly online, an increase of 23% over the previous year. And CWI is implementing a number of programs to be delivered as a hybrid blended model, and we are the first community college in the state of Idaho to offer six fully online accredited degrees, meaning these programs, the students do not have to come to the college at all. They will be delivered totally online through and approved through the Northwest Accrediting Association when we receive full accreditation. The integration of technology in our classroom is vital to the success of our students. Being prepared for today's workforce and offers the flexibility of many of our students need who are working part-time or full-time in addition to furthering their education. CWI is results-driven. Student success is reliant upon support services such as tutoring and remediation. Last year, 647 students earned a degree or certificate, and another 1,400 individuals successfully achieved their DE degree. This is a 20% increase over the previous year. Additionally, thousands of students completed short-term training courses through business and industry partnerships and workforce development. In fiscal year 2012, 88% of students who completed CWI professional technical programs were positively placed. And CWI worked closely with the colleges and universities throughout Idaho to ensure that the credits will easily transfer for those who continue on towards a bachelor's, master's, or doctorate degree. To be successful as a community college, we must be accessible to the residents of the area we serve. Currently, CWI has 7 campus locations and is present through dozens of community locations. This year, we have nearly 10,000 students attending classes in Canyon County. We have another 7,000 in Ada County. We have 4,000 directly online and over 2,700 through our multiple community locations, stretching all the way from Mountain Home to Fruitland, Idaho. We have partnered with Valley Ride Transit to provide limited shuttle services between campuses, but this needs to be expanded to serve our students. All but 3 of our buildings are currently leased, including 3 on the Napa campus. As noted in our request, we would like to pursue the classroom buildings for a long-term sustainability of the college. Still on page 1-69 is line item number 8. CWI's request general funds for the cost of transitioning the professional technical training nursing program from PT funding to regular general fund. Prior to CWI acquiring the nursing program from Selland College, part of BSU, the State Division of Professional Technical Education agreed that the nursing program would eventually confer as an Associates of Science degree, the AS degree, and not the Associates of Applied Science degree. The latter falls within the purview of the State Division of PTE. Because of this agreement, a transition to general funding needed to occur. CWI is honoring that agreement over a 3-year process. CWI requests $580,500 in order to meet this need. CWI's nursing program is second to none. In 2010, 100% of the students passed the NLEX RN on its first attempt. Most of these graduates are practicing as RNs in the Treasure Valley of Idaho or neighboring states with a strong 88% placement rate. CWI is very proud of our nursing program and the level of training that our faculty have provided for future healthcare providers. I want to thank you for allowing me to present to you today, and we have a short clip of CWI community to show our appreciation for your support of education and the opportunities you are providing students for future and their success. We often talk about what we do, and many times we're able to even tell you how we do it, but this is why we do it.
2012 was an incredible year at College of Western Idaho. We are excited to share with you some of the highlights that you enjoyed at the college. 2012 also marked the 5-year anniversary since the vote passed to create CWI.
Thank you very much to the voters for passing to have College of Western Idaho in the Treasure Valley.
Well, I think the fact that 18,000 students have called CWI home in 2012 is truly remarkable, and it shows that the southwestern region of Idaho really has a need for expanding education.
Today, because of that vision and because of that opportunity, we now have a center where the seeds of education will be planted in lives that will create more change and more opportunities for them to grow and for them to prosper. It's all about the students.
My name is Ethan Hickman. I'm in the machine tool program. I started with CWI last year, and we were down at Boise State, and now we have this grand facility. Everything that we need to succeed with our education is provided to us.
I received a $1,000 scholarship by entering this What If contest on Facebook. That financial aid makes it possible. Without it, we wouldn't be able to go to school.
Yeah, the faculty here at CWI has been great. They've really encouraged me along the way. They've given me the tools that I need in order to be successful, and they really make learning fun. I enjoy coming to class every day.
This year, CWI added a number of new programs, and the aesthetics program was one of them, and I'm very grateful for that. I explored other programs, and CWI was the very best.
This last January, CWI received its candidacy for accreditation and submitted its one-year review. We're looking forward to this coming January where we meet with the Commission and the visit this coming year, which will set us up for our full-blown candidacy status with the Northwest Commission.
My name's Tyler Murphy, and I've been involved in a considerable amount of clubs at CWI. Student clubs provide the one thing that students need as a key to success, and that is to be involved.
Street Teams, a College of What If, was a program that got student organizations and clubs out into the community, and the response was overwhelming.
There's something really neat that the College of Western Idaho has had students from all different walks of life, all different ages, all different abilities and skills compete at a local, state, and national level. And that's really exciting when you think about how new the college is.
I'm Kinsey Simmons. I'm with Autobody. I'm one of 6 national applicants that won the WIN scholarship. I'm going, oh my God, I can't believe I just won this. This is ridiculous.
We were 2 of the only community college students in the country that were selected to go and serve as pages at the convention. I think that there was only a few others throughout all of the U.S. So it was a pretty great opportunity, one that I didn't think that would come to one person at a community college, but it meant a lot because it showed that it doesn't really matter where you come from. If you work really hard, you can accomplish great things.
Today means that I made it.
Ariel Kaiser.
Which is awesome. I feel like I did a lot of work, but it was definitely worth it.
Mr. Chairman, JFAC Committee, I want to thank you again for the opportunity to present before you today, and let me reiterate the fact that I would be amiss if I did not take just a minute or two to thank the College of Southern Idaho. Jerry Beck and his team down there have had a tremendous impact in positioning CWI so that it could not only receive its accreditation, but be in a position to be one of the stronger institutions in the region getting its accreditation. So CSI has played a tremendous role in moving us forward. And I would also like to say that I have never been anywhere, and I've been in 4 different states and 5 different community colleges. My father still thinks I can't keep a job, but I've been in several states with several community colleges. This state, with these 3 community colleges and these 3 presidents and their board chairs working together, this is the strongest collaboration I've ever seen anywhere. And it can only get better. We are on a roll, and you will hear from the other 2 community colleges today pretty much the same message, that we are collaborating and we're going to provide the state of Idaho the best possible services across the entire state. With that, I thank you very much, and Chairman Cameron, I would stand for questions.
Thank you, President Glendon, and thank you for those comments. I want you to know that as a committee, we certainly do appreciate it when our presidents and our community colleges collaborate together. That makes our life easier, and I think it also makes our students' lives easier too, so that we very much appreciate that. Are there questions for President Glendon? Senator Thane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and President Glendon. It's always good to have you here. It's exciting to hear about CWI and what you've been able to do. I have a question or two about the nursing program, the shift. I'm not sure I quite understood all that, but if the reasons for it. But what are the options going forward? Because the governor didn't recommend that in his budget. So are you going to continue to transition, or what will the funding come from?
Chairman Cameron, Senator Thane, the reason for that move is because the entire healthcare industry, nursing, is moving towards, the hospitals want BA degrees. And one of the key factors is that our professional technical programs degrees weren't transferring directly into BAs like an AS program would. So this has been a 3-year process to position our students so as they graduate with the RN, they have, and we have those kinds of collaborations with BSU and Idaho State and the others, to move them into those degree-seeking programs, which streamlines their career much stronger than it would have been otherwise. And so it is a win-win. And let me make it very, very clear. I know that there's some rumor around that the Department of State Board of Education was taking money away from us. They did not take money away from us. We repositioned this program so that it would help students move through in a more streamlined fashion to move on to their BA's degrees and help them in their career long term. We have reallocated that money that was being used for that program back into other professional technical programs and reissued that. So it's not that there's been money, no, it's not that State Board of Professional Technical took anything away from us. We have agreed to make that move, that transition, and we're reallocating that to other resources to other professional technical programs.
Senator Thane.
That helped quite a bit, except where will the funding come from for the ongoing expenses of the nursing program?
In the
President Glenn.
Chairman Cameron, Senator Thane, we have a 3-year plan that we put in place to move that to the general fund. That's a part of our game plan in terms of moving forward. And as you well know, we're run like a business. We run a monthly P&L, and we have anticipated this and put this in place. One of the real things about CWI in terms of our accreditation process, there was a very strong concern about whether we were going to be financially sustainable or not, and one was because of our massive growth. I will tell you that I just came back from Seattle and the Northwest Accrediting Association 2 weeks ago, and that has become, CWI is literally debt-free. Part of it is because we don't own anything, but we're literally debt-free. And we are literally running on what we don't spend, what we don't have, and we're running a monthly P&L to make that. And we have put in place, like any other business would put in place, the kinds of operation. If we got to transition this program, and it's fairly costly to do it, but for the benefit of students, it must be done if we care about students and where students are going. We started 5 years ago. We had a 3-year plan in place to make this transition, and we are able to accommodate that without any financial agency across the board. Okay. Chairman Cameron, if I could, I would also like to thank Senator Thane. He has been wonderful. Our student body president is now working for Senator Thane, and that was his dream. And only in Idaho could a student body president from Emmett walk into a grocery store, talk to a senator, and walk out with a job. So thank you very much. We really do appreciate that.
You might encourage him to set his sights a little higher.
He'll be in Twin next week. He'll be in Twin next week.
All right. Okay. Is there further questions of President Landon? Wow, you just are going to get off easy. We appreciate you being here with us and appreciate your presentation and all you're doing. We know that you are running about as fast as you can run to keep up with things, and we're just proud of the efforts that's being done there.
Well, our students thank you. Our students thank you, and we thank the entire JFAC board. It's about the students in Idaho, and you'll hear that from the other 2 community college presidents as well. So, Chairman Cameron, thank you, and members of JFAC, thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. Committee members, why don't we had scheduled a break at this point, although it's a little earlier than anticipated, but let's go ahead and take that. And if you would be back in your seats at 9:30, we'll start up with CSI. Committee's in recess.
Telecommunications Association, and your contributions to the Idaho Public Television Endowment. Welcome to Idaho in Session, Legislature Live. Funding is provided by the Idaho State Broadcasters Association, with additional support from the Union Pacific Foundation, the Idaho Association of Counties, the Association of Idaho Cities, the Idaho Cable Telecommunications Association, and your contributions to the Idaho Public Television Endowment. Welcome to Idaho in Session, Legislature Live. Funding is provided by the Idaho State Broadcasters Association, with additional support from the Union Pacific Foundation, the Idaho Association of Counties, the Association of Idaho Cities, the Idaho Cable Telecommunications Association, and your contributions to the Idaho Public Television Endowment.
We'll call the meeting back to order. We appreciate everybody being back, almost everybody. We have President Jerry Beck from the College of Southern Idaho here with us, and we look forward to your presentation every year, Jerry. Welcome to the committee.
Well, good morning, Chairman Cameron and balance of the JFAC committee. You know, it doesn't seem right, does it? Chairman Cameron has his first grandson. He's got a couple of granddaughters, but he has his first grandson on his birthday. Can you imagine this, how lucky this guy is? And not a single gray hair. I was just looking very closely. And I just don't think it's fair. And I don't know what we're going to do about this, but I just don't think it's the way it should be. Well, good morning and greetings from all of the faculty, staff, and the Twin Falls community and surrounding the College of Southern Idaho down there in Region 4. I have with me today a couple of our newest board members. I have with us Jan Metleiter, who is a new elected board member to the College of Southern Idaho. Thank you, Jan, for being here. Also, we have no stranger to you, Mr. Laird Stone, a previous State Board of Education president and member, and thank Laird for being here also this morning. Additionally, I have Mike Mason, who is our VP of Finance with me, and Dr. Ken Campbell, who is our chief person in charge of numbers. So if there's anything in the slides that you're concerned about, Ken will take those questions. Also want to thank all the people who are watching down from the College of Southern Idaho this morning. They're always concerned and yet interested about where are we at with the state of Idaho and funding in future years. I'd be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to thank you for the appropriation that you gave to community colleges last year. I think that it truly reflected where we are at as a community college network. And I want to thank you for the help that you gave all of us in that particular area. CSI, like the other two community colleges, had the responsibility through the accreditation process to establish its core values. Our core values are not a surprise to anyone. First has to do with transfer education. That first 2 years of 4-year programs. In addition, many of those first 2 years have terminal degrees to them that allow people to go to work. Basic skills education. It's a hot topic around the nation in and around how do we prepare young people to be successful in college? How do we prepare young people to be successful into the workforce? Professional technical education. We couldn't do this without the help of PTE that you'll hear from later this week. We are one of the larger PTE schools, and we are very proud of the placement rate and the types of programs that we have at the College of Southern Idaho and the quick response that we have of changing those programs to meet the industry needs in and around the Twin Falls area. And last but not least is the over 300 performances we do in the performing arts, the athletic functions that we have at the College of Southern Idaho, coming off the 10th National Championship for volleyball this past year, and also our new industry training that we do in the Community Connections area. Community colleges have a great story to tell currently in the state of Idaho. You saw this in the previous slide. We dressed it up a little bit differently so we didn't bore you with repetition, but as you can see, community college enrollment, both FTE and headcount, is running about 6 times ahead of what the growth is in the state of Idaho. Of course, this would not have been possible without the addition of CWI and also with courses that we are now offering in Idaho Falls and continuing to grow at North Idaho College and at the College of Southern Idaho. Again, we'd like to thank you for giving us that opportunity to grow in the state at the rate that we are growing. This is great news. Why is it great news? If we are to meet the State Board of Education's goal of reaching 60%, how are we going to afford to do that? The community colleges is a great opportunity for the people of Idaho to be able to obtain educational endeavors at a reasonable cost. As you can see, currently, we're at about $1,915 per FTE, while our sister institutions at the 4-year level is $5,500. One could question whether that's a fair comparison, keeping in mind that the 4-year schools do have graduate programs and they have programs that are very expensive on that upper end with the graduate education. But keep in mind, we also have some fairly expensive programs in our trade and technical areas as well as nursing and that type of thing. The goal is affordable if, in fact, we move forward with the right mix of students and where they're going to be. So let's look at the total cost of a year at the College of Southern Idaho. This is why we talk a lot about access of the community colleges. 2/3 of the cost of going to a community college has to do with board and room. The closer we have them to our students, the less travel they have to be. If they can live at home, it will make a significant difference in the amount of money that they have to pay to be able to go to school. Community college education is reasonable. As you can see here, from the 2007 to the 2012, CSI went up by about 4% a year. You can see what that is in tuition and fees as well as board and room. Keep in mind that if you take that $7,800, divide it by 12, it comes to about $655 a month. Some of you have car payments at that rate. We feel that we are still affordable and accessible. We think that if, in fact, community colleges are located close enough to where people can live at home, this is a great way to complete the first 2 years of education and then transfer. Or, if you choose to be in a professional, technical, or terminal degree program, be able to go into the workforce. What is happening with growth across the College of Southern Idaho? We continue to grow, even though this last year the number of credit hours are down just a little tiny bit. Why is that? Well, we're proud to announce in Twin Falls, Idaho, and proper area, we're at a 6.1 unemployment rate as of this month. We are losing students back into the industry. They're going back to work. They're moving to part-time curriculums rather than full-time curriculums. Good news and bad news. Good news is we get them off the unemployment rolls. Bad news is it'll take them longer to complete their degrees and their certificates. When we talk about that little dip, I wanted to share with you a little bit about how education is being delivered today. We've all talked about what is happening with higher education around the country. Higher education around the country is changing. Up until this past year, it was changing, but we did not say it had changed. This year, we are saying it has changed. For the first time in the history of the College of Southern Idaho, our credit count in our mainstay campus operation went down. And as you can see, it shifted to the online, the dual credit, and the off-campus centers. This is going to change the way we think about things. We are going to have to look at how do we do the costing of education. What are those costs that we have predominantly charged off to the main campus, and what of those costs should be transferred to the online sections, to the dual credit sections, and to the off-campus centers. This is going to be quite a task for us over the next couple of years, because there's no question that students are moving very quickly, more and more, to online instruction. There's good news and bad news to that. 30% of our online instruction is students in the dorm. 30% students in the dorm. Why is it? Is that for convenience? Is that because they don't want to get up in the morning? Is that work schedules? Is that conflicting classes? Those are the questions we have to ask ourselves. Why is that? When employers come to us, and we've been on listening tours, and they talk to us about soft skills, they talk about, are you teaching these young people how to show up for a job in the morning? I don't know. I don't know if they're up or not. They're doing the coursework, but I don't know if they did it at midnight or if they did it at 7 in the morning. These are some of the challenges that we are having in higher education. Industry expects us to turn out a quality graduate. That has always been based upon whether or not they have the skills. But now they're asking us, do they also have the work ethic? Each of you who employ people, what's more important to you? Is it their attitude, or is it the skills? And how do we teach attitudes? How do we give references when we don't know? These are the types of things that we are going to have to get more involved in and look at with this change that's going on in higher education. We're not afraid, but we don't have the answers, and we need to research this. We continue to serve our 8 counties that we are legislated to have in our service area. As you can see here, we continue to hit a considerable amount of the population in each of those 8 counties. More importantly is our next slide of what we're doing in dual credit across the state and what that's doing to out-of-county billings. Many of you who are from outside of the Twin Falls, Jerome, Kootenai, Canyon, or Ada County have this thing called out-of-district fees. We send you a bill. Every time one of your students come to one of our classes, we send you a bill for $50 per credit. You pay for that out of half of the liquor funds you receive. That's okay. What happens when the bill gets bigger than half of the liquor funds? What happens when the bill gets larger than all of the liquor funds? I think that we have now approximately 7 or 8 counties that are in that condition, and we have, I think, 11 that are over half. So we're hearing more and more about how are we going to fund the community colleges for those students who are coming from out of districts. I don't have an answer to that. I can tell you that I think that what we provide to each of those school districts around the state, however, is very valuable. If you think of a student paying $65 a credit, they usually take about 30 credits a year. You look at that cost and roll back to that other slide back a few minutes ago about the cost of going to school. Each and every one of you who have children or grandchildren, you'd love this deal. Because quite frankly, if you have children in college today, it's more than the pickup payment. Yeah. We're proud of what we do through the dual credit. We've been a leader in that for 10 years now. We continue to try to work with districts. We also continue to work with the IEN, and I also want to plug the IDLA. Without those partners, we would not be as successful as we are at the College of Southern Idaho. They're entities that allow for the flexibility of working together and putting the right type of mix to have course offerings across this state. When you have students in classes in Sugar Salem, Weiser, and Beyond Hope at the same time with the same teacher, you become cost-effective in delivery of educational services. Keep in mind, not all schools are on the same bell. In fact, I don't think any of them are on the same bell. So how do you provide a class that will match up? How do you provide a class that will work for several different districts? Well, the first thing, you have to determine whether or not they're on a quarter system or a semester system. What is their bell schedule? What are the free periods? And then allow those districts to work together to tell you what they need. But I can tell you, those districts are not clustered together. They are across the state of Idaho. How are we doing as an institution? Over 12 years ago, we joined an organization called the CCSSE, that stands for Community College Student Success Engagement. There's about 800 community colleges that are working with that group right now. They establish your peer group, and then you start comparing how you are doing. As you can see in this graph, our peer group is in orange. We do slightly better than our peer group in all areas, but we don't do as well as the top performing colleges. That's our goal. We will continue to strive to reach the top performing colleges, and we will reach those goals. Keep in mind, these are schools from New York to California to Washington to Florida that we are comparing with. We continue to do, again, above our peer group, but we are not at the very top, so we have work to do. Question always comes up about remediation. What's happening with remediation? First time, full time, right out of high school. As you can see, we are seeing that they're better prepared. You can see that we've went from 75% in 9 to 67% needing remedial classes this past year. All other first-year students, you can see also we're seeing some gains, 72% down to 70%. However, all other students, look at that percentage. You know who that is, folks? That's us. As we do more and more workforce training, and we're bringing more and more middle-aged people back in, we're finding that that's where the remediation is going the other direction. Now, if you want to test, I can put some algebra questions up here. I don't see, how about statistics? Anybody care for? I don't care to do it, quite frankly. CSI additionally has been very fortunate. Our foundation now is over $30 million strong. And in the past 4 years, our foundation has been able to grant over $1 million a year to student scholarship. If you go back to the slide when we were looking at the cost, and you look at the Hope Scholarship, we match the Hope Scholarship, plus we have additional money for students there. The cost of going to a community college is, in fact, obtainable for most students. Those that are not, we have the Pell Grant that allows them to participate. We are very pleased of what our Magic Valley community has done as far as opening up their wallets and helping young people be able to go to school. If all of you have not had the opportunity to contribute to our foundation, I can send you envelopes soon. Where does the funding come from for the College of Southern Idaho? You heard me 2 years ago talk about that a very interesting thing was happening. Our students were starting to pay more of the bill than anybody else. That happened in 11 and 12. But with your appropriation last year, we reversed that trend. The state is, in fact, the largest provider of funds for the College of Southern Idaho at 36.8%, students at 36.4%. Our property tax, as you can see, it continues to increase as far as the funding level from 15.1 to 16.9. That green line is a concern that's predominantly in and around federal funds, and we know that that's going to continue to get tighter with what's happening at the federal level. Again, I want to thank you for last year's appropriation because you reversed that trend that we felt was not a healthy trend for community college students. We're excited about the new building that we have coming online. The Applied Technology and Innovation Center, what we call the ATTIC building. It'll house drafting, our heating, air conditioning program, industrial maintenance, wind, solar, geothermal, low hydro, and biofuels. Along with, it has a space for an additional program yet to be announced. That will be whatever we can recruit to Twin Falls in the next year to be able to, again, make that unemployment rate get better. This building would not have been possible without PTE, Division of Professional Technical Education, EDA, Region 4 Development, and of course, CSI's Board of Trustees, who made the commitment for our share of the cost. This will be a welcomed addition to the campus, and we're pretty excited about that. From new program standpoint, we started a new partnership. This has to do with, again, that listening tour and working with the Department of Labor, Roger Mattson, that they needed truck drivers, particularly in the Burley-Rupert area, and they needed them quick. We were not able to respond to that as quick as we wanted, so we partnered with a company called Sage, and as of today, that program is operational. This program will continue to operate until we have enough truck drivers in the Magic Valley, and then we will move that to other areas. But it's meeting the demand today. It's moving quickly to be able to help the industries in our particular area that need to have truck drivers, not tomorrow, not 6 months, not a year from now, today. Industrial mechanics is another new program that we'll be running. This has to do with, we are becoming what we call the America's breadbasket. We process beef, pork, trout, potato, cheese, yogurt, and others. All of those plants need these skills. This is a new program that we have operational now, and it will be in that new building. Additionally, This is an area that I told you a couple of years ago that we had not been as aggressive on as we needed to be. I saw Bob Narrowbow in the audience, and I want to thank him to bringing to our attention that we could help. We could help substantially in the dairy industry by running some courses that would make the dairies more effective. This past year, we were able to pilot our new parlor mechanics program, and that's the milkers. We are now looking at other areas that we will be able to do this next year in conjunction with the University of Idaho, the Idaho Dairy Council, and the dairymen in the area. Again, this is the lifeblood of the Magic Valley. We are ag-based, we will always be ag-based, and we need to make sure we're supplying the workforce that will allow that to continue to be successful. What a deal this was, Shabani. First off, what you're seeing there was built in less than 365 days, less than a year, from the time they broke ground to full operation. Employee of about 450 had to be trained and ready to go. Twin Falls, Idaho is now the yogurt capital of the world, has the largest yogurt plant in the world. We're pretty pleased about that. We're pretty pleased about the jobs it will bring and the additional farms that will have crops to sell, additional businesses that will come to the area. They have to put fruit in that yogurt. I don't know where we're going to grow that, but we're looking forward to seeing that. They got to make the containers that it goes into. I know that Boise, the company Boise over in the Minicash area, just got the contract for the cardboard for the packaging. These are the things that will bring value added and will continue to make our region do well with economic development. Our funding request this year, number one, and is recommended by the governor, was occupancy cost. We originally asked for $140,000 in that particular area, but the building will not be completed as we thought it would be. It's going to be about 3 months later. So that has been reduced to approximately $70,100. We want to thank the governor for putting that in, and we would hope that all of you would support that request. Number two is a request that you have seen before from CSI. In fact, you've seen this. This is the 4th straight year. 4 years ago, we agreed to double the size of our nursing program. We agreed to do that pretty much with federal funds. We did that. We now have approximately 300 nurses in training at the College of Southern Idaho, and we need some help. I'm losing federal funds, and we need to replace 2 of those teachers. I was hoping that you'd just take that 140, move that to 70, just drop that 70,000 down to number 2. That would help us significantly. BFA, Voluntary Framework Accountability. This is an accounting software system that will allow us to measure what we do in community colleges. All 3 community colleges are committed to putting this in as a system. We're asking for $115,000 there. ISTEM initiative, we're asking for $178,000, which is number 4. The IF Off-Campus Center. We would like to do in Idaho Falls what we helped do in Boise. Again, we would like to help in Idaho Falls do what we did in Boise. And that's get a community college for the last area of the state that is underserved by a community college. We currently are offering courses there, and we're asking for some help in that particular area for $191,000. And last is graduation improvement for $107,000. We hope that you can see your way clear to support a few of those. We also understand the constraints of the state budget. With that, I would like to also state that it's been a great time in Idaho working in the community colleges. We have a partnership between your 3 community colleges, the Board of Trustees, and the presidents that I don't think is duplicated any place in this nation. We are not forced to come together. There is no agency that sits over the top of us. We do it because it's the right thing to do. and is the right thing for the people of Idaho. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'll stand for questions.
Thank you, President Beck. Thank you for your presentation. And as someone from the Magic Valley area, thank you for what you and CSI does to help out in our economic developments. We know that much of the economic development in the Minnecasia area and in Magic Valley is in large part due to your progressive can-do attitude. And I wish we could bottle that up. I know the others are trying to duplicate it, but you just do a tremendous job in making sure that those businesses that locate in the Magic Valley have the ability to train their students. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll look forward to Minidoka joining our tax base.
You know what? They should. Are there any other questions? Senator Mortimer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and President Beck. It's always good to hear your presentation, and as the chairman has said, your optimism and helpfulness. Just a quick question, if you could. You mentioned that on the liquor funds, the money billed to the counties, that the colleges were billing $50 a credit hour for those dual and concurrent courses. And I have visited with some counties, and they've been really concerned, and I assumed that it was more than that, but truly that's the number that they're being billed is just $50 a credit hour for that. Is that correct?
President Beck.
Chairman Cameron, Senator Mortimer, yes, that is correct. They're being billed $50. I would like to say that there's been some discussion about whether or not the state should pay for dual credit totally. And I would like to tell you that as a personal thing and watching what happens with dual credit, I think that at $65 that we charge the student should be paid by the student and the parents. It holds the feet to the fire, and I'm serious about that. We see that the students are serious when they're vested with some of their own cash into this thing. We do quite a bit of scholarship in that particular area, but in addition to that, we do bill the county $50 for each of the credits that the student takes. We do feel that that's a bargain. Keep in mind that when we are commuting people from Twin Falls, Idaho to all of these sites, and we have to do that to stay within accreditation, we have to keep the course quality of where it needs to be. Dr. John Miller, I know he buys a new pickup every year. At the mileage rate that we pay, he tells me he's upside down on that because we keep him on the road constantly in making sure that those are quality programs and making sure that we have the teachers in place for next year. Thank you.
You bet. Representative Youngblood.
Thank you, Chairman. President, in your mentioning of the Applied Technology Innovation Center, you mentioned Region 4 development had assisted. Could I just ask how they help?
President Beck.
Chairman Cameron, Representative Youngblood. Region 4 development will be the fiscal agent for EDA. So all of the money will flow through them to the College of Southern Idaho. They also have the responsibility to follow and make sure that we are doing everything that we said we would do with EDA for that building. There's job creation that's part of that. There's a number of programs that we said that we would start. Keep in mind, this building started about 5.5 years ago in and around one of those, quote, shovel-ready projects that they were trying to build the economy. We were unsuccessful with the shovel-ready. I think that a building was built down in the Owyhee area with EDA funds, but it did put us into the lineup for funding. So we have changed that a bit over the years, but there is $4.4 million of EDA funds in that. That's the largest EDA project west of the Mississippi, and we're pretty proud of that.
Senator Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate, President Beck, your presentation. From northern Idaho, I don't know all that much about southern Idaho, but so I appreciate all the information. But the question I have is overarching regarding workforce planning, because we've heard a lot of presentations about nursing schools. And you described expanding your nursing school with federal money and now needing state support. And what I'm wondering is there, you described collaboration with other schools. So is there collaboration in terms of graduation rate, enrollment rate, and workforce planning in the nursing program?
President Beck.
Chairman Cameron, Senator Schmidt. Nursing education is a highly debatable topic. In the Magic Valley area, we still have a considerable need for PN nurses. So that has been an ongoing program that we've had with our professional technical funds. Our RN program was asked to be expanded, and predominantly that was in and around requests from our local hospitals as well as in northern Nevada. We do have some students who escape and end up in the northern Nevada area. The good news about nursing programs is that you see young people going through them, and you see them being on food stamps and financial aid and struggling. You see them walk across the stage and immediately walk into a $40,000 to $45,000 a year job and lift themselves out of poverty. As far as what is the need, there is no question that over the last 3 years, we have seen that need balance a bit. However, keep in mind, how many people do you know that have delayed their retirement because of the economy? We have something about to happen out there that is going to scare me to death. Most of us who are about that retirement age have kind of set a number in the stock market. And when we hit that number, based upon our age, we're going to retire. That's no different for the nursing population. And if you look at the average age of our nurses, we are going to be right back behind the 8 ball again in this state within 2 to 3 years. We are not oversupplying right at this minute. In fact, every one of our nurses have a job coming out of school. But we are much closer than we were 3 years ago. But I think that what we are going to see is we're going to see a major retirement, and we are going to have that severe shortage again, and we're going to hear from our hospitals. Magic Valley Regional Medical Center, who is now St. Luke's, they do fund 1.5 of our faculty out of their funds. They write us a check each year for that. We have a number of federal grants that were written to enhance the level of scholarship for students and also to help support us grow that program. Those grants were between 3 and 5 years in length. So we have people coming off of those grants now that we're having to pick up with institutional funds, or hopefully, out of the kindness of your heart, state funds.
Further questions? Well, President Beck, thank you for your presentation. We look forward to working with you as always and look forward to visiting with you.
Thank you.
We're going to shift to the North Idaho College and President Joe Dunlap. President, welcome to our committee. We'll let you take a minute and get set up.
What's that? Okay. No, I can do that, thanks.
President, when you're ready, we're ready for you. Do you have someone running the slides, or are you doing them yourself? All right.
Chairman Cameron, members of JFAC, thank you very much for the opportunity to come and address you on behalf of the students, the faculty, and trustees of North Idaho College. We appreciate this opportunity, and we want you to know that we have as a priority what is best in the interest of students. And as I talk through this presentation, we'll keep in mind the student voice. But what I'd like to do is to introduce to you some of the folks and acquaint you more with North Idaho College. North Idaho College is a comprehensive community college that was started in 1933. It's the oldest community college in the state of Idaho, and it covers all of the 5 missions that community colleges traditionally have. It's in an absolutely beautiful location, as you can see. It resides on the old Fort Sherman grounds that was previously the gathering grounds for the Coeur d'Alene tribe and other tribes in the region. I'd like to introduce you to our trustees. We have 4 of those with us today. We have Ken Howard, who is our chair and an attorney. So Ken, wait. We've got Judy Meyer, vice chair for the Board of Trustees, and Judy is a co-owner of Parkwood Business Properties. Christy Wood is not here today. She's our secretary treasurer, and she's a Coeur d'Alene police detective. We've got our 2 newest trustees with us, and Ron Nilsson, who is CEO of Ground Force Manufacturing, that manufactures the largest mining support equipment in the world. And we've got Todd Banducci with us, and Todd is president of Falcon Investments and Insurance Company. And so we are certainly thrilled that they came with us today. Also, we have quite a few new members in our leadership team. We've got Graydon Stanley, who defected from CSI and decided to move to the warmer part of the state. And so, Graydon, we're certainly glad to have you. We've got Mark Browning, who also is here. Where does Mark? Who formerly was with the State Board of Higher Education. He also decided to move to the warmer part of the state. And we have Kathy O'Brien, who is our faculty president, and we're glad that she could come down and offer the faculty voice as well. We've got a brand new team. You can see the members on the screen. And we also have a new Dean of Health Sciences and Nursing, a new Executive HR Director, and a new Director for our Aerospace and Outreach Operations. The 5 missions that North Idaho College subscribes to is our transfer programs, our professional technical programs, our adult basic education, continuing education, and customized training for business and industry. And those are 5 traditional missions for a comprehensive community college. We have 42 transfer programs, and on our campus, our higher education campus, we have LCSC, along with University of Idaho, which affords the opportunity for students to complete a bachelor's degree with never leaving Coeur d'Alene. We also offer 39 career or professional technical programs that range from welding to manufacturing to healthcare programs. The largest areas of enrollment within the college include our general studies, which is our transfer programs, and that accommodates 2,213 students. Our business programs accommodate 426 students. Our education programs accommodate 234 students. Our health sciences, 186 students, and our professional technical programs, 823 students. The average age of our student is 27, which is surprising to many, but most of our students are adults. They are not directly out of high school. Many students have come back to be retrained or have come back because they have been laid off. The average class size at North Idaho College is 17, and the male-female mix is 40% male, 60% female. The degrees conferred over this past year include 468 Associate of Science degrees, 78 Associate of Arts degrees, 86 Associate of Applied Science degrees, 407 certificates, and 493 GED certificates. In terms of a regional impact, North Idaho College serves the 5 northern counties in the state of Idaho. And we are a 1-county tax district that supports those 5 northern counties. We have 3 outreach centers, one in Bonners Ferry, one in Sandpoint, which is our largest, and the one that is growing the most, and one in the Silver Valley area. We moved into a new facility in Sandpoint this past fall, which allowed us considerable growth. But the one thing missing in that particular facility is a science lab that allows our students to take a lab science course. That's the one course missing that allows students in the Sandpoint area to complete an AA degree without ever having to leave Sandpoint. And I'll mention that later as we get into what our requests were. Also, in the Sandpoint area, with our partners LCSC and U of I, we have the opportunity next year to begin offering bachelor level courses that can lead to a bachelor's degree without students ever having to leave Sandpoint and attain that level of education. You can see that in those 5 northern counties, we operate quite a few different programs that include Head Start, ABE, GED, dual credit, and many others, including the Agency on Aging. All in all, we touch over 20,000 or roughly 20,000 students in those 5 northern counties in some form or fashion. One of the major issues that faces us as well as the other community colleges is the the out-of-county distribution from the liquor distribution fund for students that are out of county and out of the tax district. And that formula was put together in 1982 and has not changed since 1982. And that has become a significant issue with the community colleges in this state. Recently, we had an economic impact study done to look at the contribution that North Idaho College makes to those 5 northern counties. And this was a very conservative estimate. It was done by EMSI out of Moscow, Idaho. And from their analysis, the contribution North Idaho makes in the region is $164 million. And that includes a $1.5 or $1.50 return for every state dollar invested in our students. We also feel that North Idaho College is one of the larger employers in the region and is a significant contributor to the economic engine within that area. If you look at our enrollment, we have had significant enrollment over the past 5 years. North Idaho College has grown by 46%, state funding has declined by 14%, and student tuition has increased by a little over 50%. So as funding has declined, the burden has been placed on the students. And although we still view ourselves as the best bang for the buck in higher education, the burden becomes greater for those students. We believe that the greatest opportunity for growth for North Idaho College rests in 3 different areas. One is our distance learning, and you can see that we have significantly increased distance learning over the past year, and that will continue to grow. It also provides a very viable opportunity for higher education for the rural areas in the state. Dual credit is growing. We were Johnny latecomers to that party, and we are now making that a priority for ourselves. Last year, dual credit grew by 50%, and we anticipate it growing by 50% again at North Idaho College. And then through our outreach centers, we believe that there will be significant opportunity as well. If you look at the budget items for North Idaho College, the request for the fiscal year 14 base plus the formula that was allocated by the State Board of Higher Education comes to $9.8 million. And then I'll talk more specifically about our requests, and that would raise our request to $10.6 million. These are the areas that we had requested in addition to the base budget. The first is dual credit, and that would allow us to put in place a coordinator, several personnel, develop the mentorship programs necessary to deliver the high-quality education at the high school and expand those dual credit opportunities. Second of all is our Sandpoint Center. I mentioned we moved into a new facility. There's a need for a science lab there. This request includes personnel that would help staff that facility. It includes some construction for that lab and also equipment for the Sandpoint Center. Our Veterans Center is located on campus, and that is housed in a single office, and with the returning veterans from the wars that we've had, there is a growing population that needs some special attention, and we feel particularly indebted to those individuals and recognize that they have some very special needs that needed to be attended to. And so the request for the Veterans Center would provide better support for those individuals returning to North Idaho College. And then lastly, our one-stop student services. We have our student services spread out across campus in 2 different areas. The one-stop shop would co-locate all of our student support services, so a student would go to one location to receive their financial aid, the registration, the counseling, and all of the services needed to make them successful while attending North Idaho College. One of the facilities that we had requested jointly with LCSC and University of Idaho was a $12 million joint use facility on our campus. Recently, construction has been completed with our higher education campus, and it provides ample real estate and opportunity for expansion of the needs, not only for us, but our 4-year partners. That request went to the Permanent Building Fund Advisory Committee over a 2-year period of time, and that was not recommended for funding. And so while we still have our partners in the higher education campus, they are relegated to temporary trailer-like facilities to offer the upper division courses. And we have about 500 North Idaho students that attend LCSC and U of I in that transfer mode, and that's a facility that is still needed. Some of the requested information that you asked for was a change in our workforce and what our priorities would be. And there has been no appreciable change in our workforce at all. What I have on the slide here reflects our faculty, and you can see that it is relatively unchanged. The one number that is larger has to do with 1 year we counted the workforce education faculty, which are adjunct faculty, and this year we did not. We tried to standardize the way that we are going to measure those individuals for this purpose. Our absolute #1 need at North Idaho College is a new professional technical facility. There are a number of dynamics taking place, not the least of which is the development of K-Tech, which is the Kootenai Technical Education Center, that is a high school program that provides professional technical education. They had an overwhelming response by students and families to attend that facility, to the extent they had to put on a night shift to take care of those students. When those students graduate, they have a couple choices. They could go to work, or they could try and continue their education at North Idaho College. However, we have enormous waiting lists in our career and technical programs. The facilities are inadequate. They have been in existence for decades and decades, and the most we can accommodate in our classrooms for our professional technical programs is 12 to 15 students. That is unacceptable. We could easily double that capacity if we had a facility that would accommodate the students. Ideally, we would like to have, and I think you'll find at other colleges, about 20 students to 24 students in a professional technical program, not 12 to 15. Excuse me. In addition to that, there's an emerging manufacturing base in North Idaho, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, particularly with regard to aerospace. And therefore, it's incumbent upon us to improve our capacity and improve that support for business and industry. We currently have an architectural firm that is doing an analysis of a professional technical facility for North Idaho that would be a follow-on to the K-Tech opportunity that high school students have. And the trustees over the course of the next several months will need to make some decisions on whether or not we can afford to fund that facility. That facility, for all intents and purposes, and the term was used earlier, is shovel-ready. When the architects get done with that project and assess the opportunities and the options for us, we will have to make a decision. Professional technical funding, as you know, in this state does not cover the entire cost of professional technical education. At North Idaho College, we subsidize the professional technical budget by approximately $1 million to make sure that we can provide as much professional technical education as possible given our limited space. One other item with regard to the workforce on this slide is that if you look at the full-time employment and the part-time employment employees that we have, the total number of individuals employed by North Idaho College is 1,191. The revenue streams for the college are reflected in this pie chart, and in general, 1/3 of our funding comes from tuition and fees, 1/3 from state general fund and state professional technical funding, and then 1/3 from our property tax levy. And so the way that breaks down is our state general fund provides about $9.8 million. The state professional technical funding is about $4 million. The county property tax and other county tax payments is about $14.8 million. Our out-of-county tuition and state liquor tax amounts to $1.2 million, and tuition and fees is $13 million. In terms of alternative funding, which is some additional information that you had requested, is that, and I mentioned that funding has shifted from state support to our students. And you can see, based on this chart, the amount of financial aid that has increased significantly over the past 6 years. It's gone from $11 million to $49 million in disbursements. And in part, it's because of the growth of the number of students, but it also has to do with the cost of higher education. One of the concerns that we have at North Idaho College is the amount of debt that students are incurring and what that portends for their future. And so as part of awarding financial aid for this next year, we've instituted some new measures. We, first of all, do not award the full amount on the first day of class. That's a significant change from the way we have done our business in the past, because some students will come to school, gather their financial aid, and then disappear off the radar screen. So we've decided to apportion that over the course of a semester, and based on their satisfactory progress, will be awarded follow-on payments. In addition, those students are required to go through a class on financial management and budgeting, so they clearly understand the importance of the financial aid they are receiving and that it doesn't go to make their new car payments. The College Foundation is endowed with about $17.7 million, and last year provided over $705,000 in additional scholarships for our students. The Idaho Funded Scholarship proposed changes that takes the Robert Lee A and B funds as well as the opportunity grants and consolidate those. We are certainly supportive of that initiative. Additional alternative funding sources. This year, through the Avista company, which is our utility company in North Idaho, they have funded up an entrepreneurship program at North Idaho College that is based on a model that was developed at Spokane Community College. And there are 3 other community colleges that are funded up with that entrepreneurship program as well. The intent is that small communities will grow their own businesses because 90% of the businesses in this country have 50 employees or less. And so Avista believes that they can help grow the economy by creating entrepreneurs. This program is funded at $100,000 for North Idaho College and the other colleges, as well as a $500,000 micro fund that will be available for budding entrepreneurs to access if they have some promising ideas. Secondly, North Idaho College was awarded a Department of Labor grant to support the aerospace industry, and that is $2.9 million that will go towards improving advanced manufacturing, non-destructive testing training, as well as other specialized manufacturing training. And in North Idaho, we have Quest Manufacturing that manufactures the Kodiak aircraft. We've got Tamarack Aerospace. We've got Aeroset, and we've got several others. And so that's an emerging area. And we have also partnered with the Washington schools that were recipient the previous year for aerospace training as well. Some programmatic changes that we have made. There is an effort to put in place a physical therapist assistant program between the 3 community colleges and LCSC. We are going through the accreditation process now for that program to receive candidacy status. North Idaho College also recently completed accreditation of a medical assistant program that is desperately needed in the northern counties. Also pharmaceutical manufacturing. There are several manufacturing companies in Coeur d'Alene as well as Spokane that will support. Our welding program, as well as some others, is part of our IBEST program that helps with remediation and adult basic education and combines those basic education skills with the technical skills. And it has been identified through the hospitals and the CEOs of those hospitals the need for a medical lab technician program that we are looking at, coding and billing for those as well. And we have been asked to provide professional technical training in Sandpoint as well as our Silver Valley outreach area. And we currently provide career and technical programs in Plummer to support the Coeur d'Alene tribe. In summary, I'd like to mention that, or reiterate that NIC is Idaho's oldest community college, and next year we will be celebrating our 80th anniversary. We are in a geographic area with one single county that provides the tax base for that college, which presents tension when you support the 4 other counties in North Idaho. Our enrollment trends have followed the national trends, and we've seen enrollment somewhat leveling off. However, that will not be true in our professional technical areas where we have enormous waiting lists and business and industry that needs those graduates. I mentioned that professional technical is our #1 priority, and that's something that we will be working on for the next couple of years. And then there is a significant level of collaboration between CSI, CWI, and North Idaho College. In addition to the president's meeting, the chair of the trustees from those institutions meet regularly. And as mentioned by Jerry, we're working on the voluntary framework of accountability, as well as standardizing how we deliver dual credit in the state. And then lastly, we all recognize the need for the district tuition funding formula that needs to be addressed. And as I mentioned, that's been in place since 1982. And then lastly, Mark Browning and myself are your two representatives. We do not utilize a lobbyist here in Boise, and so if there's anything you need, Mark Browning or myself are the two to get a hold of. And Mr. Chair, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to address JFAC.
Thank you, President Dunlap. We appreciate you being here with us, and we will look forward to your answers to some questions. Are there any questions? Senator Thane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Dunlap, you mentioned at the end that your number one priority was professional technical. Well, on your decision units or your budget requests, which one of those impact professional technical?
President Dunlap.
Mr. Chair, Senator Thane, let me pull up that quickly here. On our requests that impact professional technical, they all do directly or indirectly. And so, for example, students on our dual credit request, students have the opportunity to access an online professional technical course. They also have the opportunity to come to campus or take that in their high school. The Sandpoint Center has asked us to bring career and technical or professional technical education to the Sandpoint area and has even offered additional space at little to no cost to accommodate that. But we need more infrastructure in Sandpoint in terms of student support services, in terms of that science lab, and in terms of being able to relocate the equipment up there that's needed for those professional technical programs. The Veterans Center indirectly supports professional technical because they do the counseling, they do the advising, and they help direct students to programs that they may have an interest in. And then our one-stop student services certainly has an impact on which students attend professional technical training because they do the advising and counseling, the admission, the registration, and they process the financial aid for those students. So indirectly, all of those have an impact on our professional technical programs.
Thank you.
Representative Gibbs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. President Dunlap, everybody, all the colleges that we've heard from the last 2 days, colleges and universities have experienced increased enrollment in starting 2008, 2009 with the economy. Now you're talking about it slightly plateauing. Are these levels sustainable as the economy picks up and more people go back to work, or are we overbuilding these colleges that are going to be looking at some overexpansion?
Mr. Chair.
President Dunlap.
Representative Gibbs. The question isn't whether they're sustainable, it's whether we are meeting the needs of all the students or not. I mentioned in my presentation that the greatest opportunities for us in terms of increasing enrollment were distance learning, outreach centers, as well as the dual credit opportunities. And so at North Idaho College, we are absolutely maxed out on our campus. We've increased by 46% over 5 years. If you drive on campus any time of day up until about 10 o'clock at night, you won't find a parking space because of the night classes and the amount of instruction that's taking place. The national trends are that the enrollment nationally is beginning to level off, and in some areas it has begun to decline. Some of the community colleges of Washington State have experienced a decline of 6% in their enrollment. And so when you look at enrollment at the community colleges here in Idaho, I would like to break that out into a couple segments. One is our professional technical. And with the need to meet business and industry in North Idaho, as well as the backlog we have in students, there is no end in sight at this point in terms of trying to meet those demands. When I talk to the CEOs of the 3 hospitals in the northern counties, they have significant healthcare needs. When I talk to the manufacturers, particularly aerospace and others in North Idaho, they have significant needs, and we have just not been able to meet that. So while there may be a decline on our academic side, our transfer side of the house, we do not foresee a decline in our professional technical area.
Representative Ringo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make sure I'm clear on your professional technical request. You indicated your number one priority was a professional technical center, and I'm not sure I saw that. Is that in the vocational budget? I didn't see it in yours, I don't think.
Mr. Chair, Representative Ringo, it is not in the request that we had. The request was done before we commissioned the report from our architectural firm to develop these options for us with regard to a professional technical center. And so what I'm doing is raising the awareness of what the need is in North Idaho. We are not requesting funding at this point for that from you. However, depending on whether the reports from the architects suggest building in increments or all at once, the price tag may range from $7 million to $35 million. Once we get that final report and the trustees make some decisions, then we will have to determine how we're going to fund that. But I think it's important that the legislators understand the importance of career and technical education with regard to putting people back to work, and the community colleges are really the engine that does that. And so this is a precursor to us figuring out how to fund up that facility.
Could I follow up, please?
You bet. Representative Ringo.
Thank you. So, all right, so your number one priority is something that you're not yet ready to ask, but could you tell me what the size is of your waiting list then that you spoke of?
Sure.
President Dunlap.
Mr. Chair, Representative Ringo, the waiting lists we have for each individual program, and they may range anywhere from 10 students to 50 students waiting to get in a 1 to 2 year program. And so you have 50 students, for example, waiting to get in a program like our nursing program, and that's a 2-year program. And so the question becomes, are those students going to wait for 2 years? And if they do, how much greater will that list grow? And so every one of our 39 professional technical programs has a wait list. They are at capacity.
Senator Vick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have questions with regard to the funding sources. As I look at the funding sources and I compare the College of Southern Idaho with North Idaho College, I see a dramatic difference in how much property taxes pay for the education. In the College of Southern Idaho, it's 17%, and at North Idaho College, it's 32%. And so I wondered if you have an explanation of why it's so much higher, and in a follow-up to that, are the other counties that have students at the college participating at a level that financially that you think is satisfactory?
President Dunlap.
Mr. Chair. Senator Vick, with regard to the first part of your question, I think I can answer a portion of that. A number of years ago, the trustees decided to take the foregone taxes that had not been taken previously to pay for the mill site that was acquired, that was raised, and now that has become the higher education campus for us and provides capacity also for LCSC and U of I. And there are a number of building sites that are there. And so while we've seen a raise in taxes, in part it's been to the devaluation in property taxes as well, but also because of taking those foregone taxes. And could you say the second half again, Senator Vick?
Senator Vick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And that is, do you feel that the counties, and I guess maybe particularly Bonner County because they have a facility there, are contributing satisfactorily to the operations of running North Idaho College?
Mr. Chair and Senator Vick, the way the funding works for students who are out of county is that through the state liquor distribution that goes to the counties, we receive $500 per student per semester, and it excludes professional technical students. And so when you look at the number of students that we serve versus the cost of operating those facilities, it doesn't wash. The state liquor tax distribution does not cover the over $1 million that we front for those outreach centers, including Sandpoint, Bonners, and Silver Valley.
Senator Vick.
Thank you. And as a follow-up to that, what is, I have two ways I could ask this, I guess, but why do we continue to expand to those counties if they're not covering the cost of the expansion?
Well, we have, Mr. Chair.
President Dunlap.
Senator Vick, first of all, we have been charged by the legislature to serve those 5 counties. So do we ignore that guidance? We have populations that need to be served in those northern counties. And so from an ethical perspective, we as a college, from my point of view, have an obligation to serve those students. Now, whether we do that through distance learning or dual credit or outreach center, it doesn't matter. But asking students to come from Bonners Ferry to North Idaho College to attend is not practical. The distance is too long, particularly in the winter. And so the question becomes, how do we serve those students without regard to whether it's a cost benefit to us to serve them?
Any further questions? Senator Keo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And, you know, it might be helpful for us to get a refresher on the costs of those outreach centers and what the return is. Seems like the last time I saw numbers for Sandpoint, it actually returned money to NIC in Kootenai County. So, but I don't know if my numbers are updated or not. So it would be good for us to have that information.
Mr. Chair, Senator Keo, I don't have those numbers before me, but we can certainly get those for you.
Thank you.
If you could provide them for us, and then we can get them disseminated to the committee.
I'm sorry, Mr.
Says we can get them disseminated to the committee if you'll provide them to us.
Will do.
Are there further questions? We appreciate your presentation, appreciate all that you do, and look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And on behalf of the students, faculty, and trustees of North Idaho College, I'd like to thank you and JFAC again for the opportunity to address you and for all you do to help serve our students.
You bet. Thank you. Don't forget our microphone. Okay, committee members. How am I doing, Representative Eskridge? All right, keep me in line. Maybe. We will stand adjourned until 8 a.m. tomorrow morning.